This holiday, let Hy-Vee do all the cooking so you can spend more time with family. Order your pre-made holiday meals today. You'll find delicious meals that serve from 2 to 12 people, including succulent turkey, honey-glazed spiral ham, or prime rib. Holiday meal packs are ready to heat and serve and include your choice of sides and rolls. For dessert, choose from apple, pumpkin, banana cream, or French silk pie. Meals start at just $34.99. Reserve your holiday meals today at Hy-Vee.com.
Whatever your life story, you deserve access to comprehensive, affordable health insurance. But it can be hard to know where to start. That's why Minnesotans have MNsure. MNsure is where you can find health coverage for every Minnesota story, regardless of where you live or what your income is. MNsure is the only place where you can access savings to help lower the cost of your health coverage. And you can get free help in person or over the phone to enroll in a plan that fits your needs and your story. Visit MNsure.org today to get started.
Want your boss to put some real action behind the rhetoric when they talk about making your workplace more inclusive? Find out how to hold their feet to the fire to demand diversity on the Diversity Dude podcast.
Hey, welcome Diversity Dude family. Hey, it's Tom Barnett with the Seminole Group. Hey, wanted to go over a couple of administrative things before we get into part one of a two-part series on critical race theory. Wanted to take the time to recognize a couple of things from a diversity front this past week. This past week was World AIDS Day, so wanted to commemorate and make sure that we are knowledgeable of all the good things that have happened and the breakout of being able to get closer to eradicating that disease, as well as recognize those that we had lost from AIDS. And then also it's been the anniversary this past week of Rosa Parks. You know, Rosa Parks stood for civil rights by sitting down. And so she is very much a iconic figure. And we all know that by that stand, she sparked the boycott there in Montgomery, Alabama. So I wanted to recognize those two events. And then lastly, just touch on this, is that over the course of the past couple of weeks, we've talked about race-related items that have been really, I'll say, in the media. But when we look at the comprehensive full definition of diversity, we're going to be covering off on a few more items over the next few weeks. And that is, you know, women's rights, LGBTQ, disabilities. And so I wanted to make sure that I came back to the family to just let you know that diversity is more than just race, and we'll be covering off on those things. Okay, so how about we get after it? As I mentioned, this is going to be part one of critical race theory, what it is, and what it's not. And what I'd like to do right now is share a slide from one of my favorite authors by James Baldwin. It's not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. So with that being said, when we talk about critical race theory, as we had talked about in the past as to things that make people fearful, it seems to be the most recent thing that's kind of the boogeyman or the Baba Yaga for our John Wick fans that are out there. Shout out to my Reynolds golf buddies out there. It seems to be the latest thing that is used to gin up fear with our white teammates. And so I wanted to spend some time today to talk about what critical race theory is and what it isn't. So critical race theory has been around from the 70s and 80s. And so what it basically is that some legal scholars ask themselves the questions that, hey, we've had some landmark civil rights legislation that's occurred. And so as an example, Brown versus Board of Education, the 1964 Voter Rights Act. And so they ask themselves the question that, hey, we've had that legislation get passed, but why do we still have opportunities, if you will, when it comes to equity within our society? And what they concluded was that race was a construct. So what that basically means is race was made. And so race was made and used to oppress and exploit people of color. Let me say that again. Race is a construct that was made to exploit and oppress people of color, and that racism is a normalized feature of the American society. So they also said and concluded that racism was a normalized feature of American society. So, you know, after saying that, again, they concluded that when you've got that and you've got systemic issues, that legislation alone is not going to fix that. So therein lies the rub. Is it some of the key words that I used there? Was it race as a construct devised to oppress and exploit people of color? One. And then two, that racism was a naturalized or normalized feature of our American society. So when you really think about that, being systemic, that just means that it's across all portions of our society. That's the economics, that's our healthcare system, that's education, and that's criminal justice. And so because it permeates all of those, obviously, that's some opportunities there. And so, what we want to be able to do is really take the time, if we're truly intellectually honest about it, is take the time to basically say, hey, we need to revisit what race has done and the role that it's had in our society. And when we do that, how that's impacted our history and how do we want to tell that history. So I'm going to say that again. It gives us an opportunity to revisit race and how it's impacted our society, and then how we want to tell that history. All right. And so when we think about, again, critical race theory right now is being used as a distraction to keep us from getting at that root cause of being able to get at race and racism in the country. And so because it's been a detractor, it doesn't allow us to really get at those issues that I just mentioned. So again, what it is the things that I just mentioned, but what critical race theory does not do is it doesn't rewrite our history. Full stop. It does not rewrite our history. And so that being said, I really wanted to really talk about, what this means for our allies. You're going to always hear me talk about, those that are in the fight around diversity and inclusion. And that includes people that don't necessarily look like me. And it's our white counterparts that are out there. And so what I would encourage and what our ask is it truly be open to knowing and understanding the true full scope of what race is in this country, and being able to be open to what that might mean from a historic standpoint. Because in being able to know and understand the true sense of what that means and the impact that it's had on our country, it's not necessarily going to put your forefathers in the greatest light. And that's cool. But I think what we need to understand is that, this is American history. It's not white America's history. It's not Black America's history. It's not Asian history. It's American history. And if it's American history, it's a holistic view of being able to, again, revisit the impact that race has had in this country and how we need to really problem solve for that. And so that is part one of what critical race theory is, what it isn't. And then next week, we're going to talk about, from a historical standpoint, what impact this might have on history, how history is taught, what that curriculum has looked like in the past, what drove that curriculum, and things of that nature. So hopefully this was educational for everyone. And again, critical race theory, what it is and what it isn't. One of the things I wanted to talk about, though, before we go to the takeaways, is, again, just a friendly reminder around Brainstorm by Tom Burrell. I can't begin to tell you all the great conversations I've had with folks that have either joined the book club or have started or have reread the book. And I think as the conversation is very appropriate, as we talked about today with critical race theory and race and racism and Black inferiority and white supremacy, this book is a must read. I'm really glad that folks are really enjoying it. And I just wanted to make sure that I throw that out, and then we'll go to our takeaways. Get involved. So this is really going to make more sense next week. But when you think about, when I ask to get involved, all politics is local. And so most folks get involved at the federal level. That's every 4 years. But when we think about school boards, when we think about city council sessions, you don't necessarily have to join, but you need to be informed. You stay informed to know what's really going on. Then you decide. That's the second one. So when we talk about the historical components of critical race theory, we're going to be talking next week about curriculum, various books like MLK, the Civil Rights Movement, Ruby Bridges, a young lady who desegregated her kindergarten in New Orleans, things of that nature. I want you to decide how you feel and if those are traumatic books that impact the way that you think about race relations. So if you've got any questions or comments, I just wanted to make sure that folks really knew and understand that the Seminole Group, began to help clients change their culture through proactive risk management protocols. And as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion, we help leadership in recruiting, promoting, and retaining diverse talent. We also work with municipalities and elected officials to strengthen health and wellness of communities of color. So if you want to change the status quo, and if you're a business leader or a nonprofit, feel free to reach out at tom.barnett@seminolgroup.com, or feel free to check our website out. Again, I hope this was beneficial today. I look forward to next week's session. And remember, stay safe, get vaccinated, or get your booster shots, and we'll talk with you later on. Thanks.
This holiday, let Hy-Vee do all the cooking so you can spend more time with family. Order your pre-made holiday meals today. You'll find delicious meals that serve from 2 to 12 people, including succulent turkey, honey-glazed spiral ham, or prime rib. Holiday meal packs are ready to heat and serve and include your choice of sides and rolls. For dessert, choose from apple, pumpkin, banana cream, or French silk pie. Meals start at just $34.99. Reserve your holiday meals today at Hy-Vee.com.
Tune in each week how to demand and implement diversity and inclusion at your job. To hear more, check out his previous shows on ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
It never fails. Every fall, I fall into a funk. Daylight savings time used to have me singing the blues until I found some help at BetterHelp.com. BetterHelp.com. It's an online resource that matches you with your own licensed professional therapist. Listen, ain't no shame in talking to somebody about how you feel. Your mom and your friends are great to talk to when you have problems. They're your go-to. But sometimes you need a professional. And that's where you need to call BetterHelp.com. Sometimes it's the only way to get your happy back. BetterHelp.com offers secure online counseling, either over the phone or via video. Now, it's not a crisis line, but BetterHelp.com has counselors who'll help you with your anger, stress, depression, or anxiety. The good news is that they're more affordable than traditional in-person counseling sessions. But you know what? If your money is funny, don't worry. BetterHelp.com even offers financial aid. Let BetterHelp.com help you get your happy back. Log on today to BetterHelp.com.